Hello students and welcome back to Shri Gyan Manjari Vidyapith, wherein we are learning the subject of English for Standard 10. Students, we have already completed the explanation and understanding of chapter number 1, A Letter to God. And from the previous two lectures, we started with chapter number 2, Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. Let's take a quick recap of what we have learned so far. Students, this is the third lecture for chapter number 2. The author is Nelson Mandela. This chapter is an extract, some parts taken from the whole of the autobiography written by Nelson Mandela. Name of the autobiography of the book is Long Walk to Freedom. Let's take a quick recap what we have learned so far in this chapter. About the chapter, we learned that the full name of Nelson Mandela is Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, born on 18th of July 1918, died on 5th of December 2013. He was South African anti-apartheid revolutionary. We learned that term apartheid very well. Apartheid is a political system wherein the differences are based on race. Revolutionary, a person who has rebelled, he wants to bring some change in the society, a positive change. He is called a revolutionary. Not only that, he was a political leader of one of the largest political party of South Africa, that is African National Congress, ANC. And he remained president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999. At the same time, he was also the first black president to be appointed as the president of South Africa after a 300 years long rule of the white people. Then, as soon as the ANC, African National Congress, they won the majority of the seats in the elections which were held for the first time, free and fair elections were held for the first time, wherein all the people were represented properly. There were 400 seats in the parliament, so 201 seats are required for majority. Instead of that, we got quite a good number. And the first thing he does is to take a pledge oath. So his government focused on dismantling, breaking up that legacy of differentiating people on the basis of race, that is black people, white people, dismantling the legacy. They didn't want to continue. They didn't want their children to have that same system. So they wanted to break that legacy or the inheritance of apartheid by tackling how institutional racism. That means to make such laws and rules and regulations so that everybody remains equal in the country. Nobody is differentiated on the basis of race, and nobody is differentiated on the basis of the color of the skin, and there is no discrimination at all on the basis of racism. So fostering, how will they do it? By adopting what? Racial reconciliation. Racial reconciliation means a change that is supposed to happen, right, by uniting people together. Ideologically, he was African nationalist, socialist, and served as the president of ANC for 5-6 years. This unit is an extract of the Nelson Mandela's autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, one of the first democratic elections that were held in the country of South Africa. And they won the majority, and he was made the president. Mind you the date, May 10th, 1994. Now, when the inauguration ceremony, when the opening, because after 300 years of very harsh rule, the democracy is being installed, right, established over there. So that is the opening. So that is inauguration ceremony. Nelson Mandela, he expresses his big, because representatives or head of state or prime ministers of lots of kings and rulers of all over the country, all over the world, they have come over there either personally or they have represented someone. Yes, so it looks as if whole of the world has come over there to witness the establishment of democracy over there, plus the local people, that means citizens of South Africa, they were also present over there in front of them. He takes an oath, expresses his views on freedom and what is the importance of this freedom that they have, and he recalls that the history of South African struggle, plus he recalls his own struggle also during the inauguration ceremony. First thing is he pays tribute, respect to thousands of South African people who laid down their lives or sacrificed their lives or kept on suffering for a many number of years so that the country can become free from the bondage of apartheid. Lives for the cause. He calls himself, now he stands at such a place because he has become the first black president to rule the country. So where he stands, all the sacrifices, all the suffering ends. He will assure that as soon as he has become the president, until he remains the president, no more people will sacrifice themselves, no more there will be suffering for either white people or black people. He calls himself the sum of all the patriots who have gone before him. In spite of all those sacrifices, Nelson Mandela, in spite people have suffered, he also has suffered. He was in jail for a long 30 years, but he does not bear any grudge, any ill will against the white people. And he goes on to say that each man has two basic moral duties. One, of course, he is born in a family. It is his duty when he grows up to pay back the family. So that is his first responsibility. So he has two duties, one for his family. Next, he is born in this country, then automatically he has duty for his country also. And he goes on further to say that the oppressor and the oppressed. Oppressor here, he is people who oppress others, right? They are the oppressors. So up till 300 years, the white people were the oppressors, and who were the oppressed? Who suffered? The black people suffered. So this, he says that both the people are in chains. They are bonded in chains because you have to keep on making other people suffer if you want to keep them in that way. So you have to keep on growing that hatred. That hatred passes on from generation to generation. So what happens is they have to be chained. Same way, oppressor, he is also chained because he keeps on suffering. The oppressor remains chained to the hatred, while the oppressed one who is suffering, his character grows. He becomes more refined because he is suffering, he is bearing. So his character will keep on growing, and in proportion to the torture that he is. More the torture, more the oppression, more his character's height will grow. Mandela says that courage is not. These are very, very important sentences that come through in the complete chapter. Yes, here and there, but mind you, they are very, very important. Mandela says courage is not the absence of fear. Yes, you stand in front of something courageously. That doesn't mean that you have total absence of fear. But what is the real meaning of courage? That you win over, or you have victory over fear, then it is called courage. One man can be free when he does not have to mind other people's business, or he is free when he gives equal freedom to other people. So when he respects somebody else's freedom, then only he can be free, because he also wants freedom. Same way other men also, they want freedom. So now we have learned all this. Apartheid is a political system that separates people according to their races. Mandela had to spend 30 years in jail. Because, mind you, these sentences, they are very, very important. It forms part of your answers everywhere. So if you remember these sentences properly, if you know the meaning of these sentences properly, the vocabulary properly, then you can write your answers very beautifully. Finally, democratic elections were held. Up till now, elections were held, but only the white people were coming to power. That means we can understand how the political system, how the political setup was, that every time that same party comes to power, right? That means the other people, they don't have any chance. So for the first time, democratic elections were held in South Africa in 1994, and Mandela became the first black president of a new nation. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress, mind you, 252 seats out of 400, so they have a clear majority, and the African National Congress, it wins. Now, where did the inauguration ceremony took place? It took place in Pretoria, which is the capital, which is the hot seat of power. For 300 years, this was the hot seat of power for the white rule. Now, the same place established, democracy is being established. So, in Pretoria, in the union buildings, earlier where the white people sat and ruled for 300 years, right, that now, that those buildings, the center of those buildings, yes, a huge amphitheater is there. Yes, amphitheater means an oval shape, you can say a stadium, but it's open and seats are there surrounding the circular or oval space in between. Seats are there on the sides so that people can sit and watch. In the union buildings, all the union buildings, in between that an oval shape was there, empty space, their amphitheater was made, Pretoria today, and it was attended by politicians and dignitaries. Dignitaries, highly respectable people coming from all over the country. They can be rich people, they can be businessmen, they can be representatives of governments, or they can be the head of states themselves. All of them, more than 140 countries were coming up, because for so many years the world was seeing that South Africa was very harshly ruled by the white people. They also did not like that system, and now that system was being abolished, completely being thrown out of the country, right? So they wanted to attend, they wanted to witness the establishment of democracy. And after the oath was taken, right, he gives his first speech to the nation and to the world. He promises himself that never will this beautiful land experience again the oppression of one by another. Earlier the white were oppressing the black. Now we are in power. That does not mean the black are going to oppress the white. Nobody is going to be oppressed in this free country, in this beautiful land. And he addresses the country. The rest of the speech continues. We are going to learn that in this lecture. Jubilant scenes. People were victorious. Yes, they had victory at end of 300 years of the harsh apartheid-based rule. Now the country is free from that tormenting and torturing rule. So the people, they come out on the streets and they are celebrating victory with joy. So jubilant scenes, yes, they are all having fun. Scenes on the streets of Pretoria, followed by the ceremony with blacks, whites and colored celebrating together. Now there are no differences. Yes, a white man standing near you, you don't have to be afraid of him, because now everybody is equal, right? So black, white, colored, all of them are feeling absolutely free, because now everybody is going to be treated equally. More than, in that amphitheater itself, more than 100,000 South African men, women and children of all races were singing and dancing with joy because of the newly found freedom that they got. Now, we had started with the chapter 10th of May. Dawned very clear. That means in the morning it was quite sunny and bright. And it also shows, for example, we got freedom on 15th of August 1947. Yes, so it was midnight when we got freedom. So the first morning is that morning which brings freedom for this country. Same way, 10th of May. It has not only brought up that the sun has risen quite bright and sunny. It doesn't mean that, but it is that newfound freedom which is throwing its light on the country. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged. Lots of dignitaries, lots of heads of state, they were not able to come personally, right, to attend the inauguration ceremony. And they came before the ceremony and they congratulated Nelson Mandela for making this country free from apartheid. So for quite a few days I was besieged surrounded on all sides by dignitaries and quite a lot of important people all around the world. Leaders who were coming to pay the respects before the inauguration, they were not able to attend the inauguration, or they might have come in advance, right? So He was surrounded by that. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on the South African soil. After a long spell of 300 years, today so many dignitaries and national leaders, they are going to come over there and witness the establishment of democracy. So this was the first time after a long spell of years that all important leaders of the world, they were going to be on the soil of South Africa. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheater. The amphitheater was made with sandstone formed by the Union buildings. The Union buildings surrounded that, and in between that amphitheater was made, where Pretoria, which was the capital or the hot seat of power for South Africa. For decades this had been the seat of white supremacy. Whites were superior, they felt superiors, and they considered blacks as inferiors, and they continued ruling for 300 years. So this was the hot seat of power for white supremacy all these years. Now it was a site of rainbow gathering. We understood in the previous lecture what is rainbow gathering. People of all color, yes, beautifully dressed, that is that rainbow coloring. And all the dignitaries and national leaders present over there, their flags also have to be there. So it looks like a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic and non-racial government. It's very important for you to know that. Now we come to today's lecture. Now we come to the inauguration ceremony, right? On that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zenani. So in the first pic you can see Nelson Mandela accompanied by his daughter Zenani, accompanied, come along, on the podium. You've seen in the classroom, there's a stand to keep the book, and for the lecturer, where he delivers the lecture, that's called a podium. Yes, so on the podium, Mr. De Klerk was the first sworn in as second deputy president. Now it comes in ascending way. First, the lowest of the dignitary has to be sworn in, then the vice president, and then the president at the end. So Mr. De Klerk, he is a white person. Yes, we can see, and he was sworn in as second deputy president. Then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. Thabo Mbeki, he is a black person. Yes, now it doesn't matter whether they are white or black, but here it matters a little bit, right? You see that one white person and one black person, yes, that means both the communities are properly represented. Yes, it is not that second deputy president, first deputy president, both of them, they are black people and the president is also a black person. No, equal representation of all the races. So we can see that second deputy president, who was that? Mr. De Klerk, and then Thabo Mbeki, he was sworn in as the first deputy president. And now it is the turn for Nelson Mandela to take the pledge and become the president. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the Constitution and to devote myself to the well-being of the Republic and its people. What is the oath that the president takes? Yes, now president, he is called the first person of the country. Yes, first citizen of the country, right? So he is head of state and also the first citizen of the country, because he is the president of the, right? So what is his duty? What is the oath that he is taking? He takes the oath to obey and uphold the Constitution. Obeying the Constitution is one thing, upholding, that means in that same way that it was meant to be. Uphold, do not change it for his own benefit, right? You can make changes in the Constitution for the benefit of the people, right? But not for the benefit of one's own self or the benefit of the political party, right? So he's going to uphold the values that are given in the Constitution. And to devote myself, I will work for the people. No white people, black people, colored people, nothing like that. All the citizens of my country are equal in front of us. So I will work for the well-being of the Republic. I will always keep in mind the value and worth of the country. And I will see to it that I work for the betterment of the republic, that is the country and its people. That is what the president is meant to be. To the assembled guests and the watching world. Now, when the oath taking ceremony is done, now he comes to the podium to give his first speech to the countrymen and to the world in general. Now, what does he say? Today, all of us do, by our presence here, confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. These are the first statements coming out from the mouth of Nelson Mandela, that today, all of us who are present over here, it is not only that his political party is present over here, right? It is not that only the citizens of Pretoria are there. People from far and wide have traveled and come over here to be present in the oath taking ceremony or the opening ceremony. Yes, inauguration ceremony. Yes, but all of them who are present over there, there can be white people, black people, colored people. By our presence, if we are present over here today, if we are living in this country, we confer. Confer means to give. Yes, glory and hope. We have to give glory and hope to what? Newborn liberty. We have to give hope to the newborn liberty that we have just got. Yes, we keep high hopes for that. We will wish for good things to happen in this country. That is called giving glory and hope to the newborn liberty. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud of. Very, very opening statement given by President Nelson Mandela. He says that for 300 years, he doesn't say that, but it is written over here, that lasted too long. How long did he last? 300 years. And it was a disastrous system that prevailed in our country. So after so much tormentation, after so much torture, suffering that people have gone through, we have to set an example not only for ourselves, we have to set an example for the whole world, that even after the people of South Africa, they were oppressed, they were tortured, then also they did not seek revenge out of this, out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster. Nowhere else it happens in the world, but in our country only it happened. This was extraordinary, which happened nowhere else in the world. And it is a human disaster to keep making people suffer because they have a different skin color, right? That is a human disaster, and that for a too long period, 300 years of such a harsh and unhumane behavior that was done. Then the society which comes out of that suffering should be shining very brightly. It should not have the feelings of taking revenge now. Now it's our turn. No, of which should born a society of which whole of the humanity, whole of the human world will be proud of. Yes, we can automatically say that even when these people suffered so much, when they came into power, when they got liberty, when they got freedom, they did not seek revenge and they did not start torturing and slaughtering the white people, but instead they showed very good signs of forgiveness, forgetful, and they mixed together and unitedly made the South African country more stronger. We who were outlaws not so long ago, if you said anything against the white supremacy, automatically you will be found out, arrested, put away in jail, maybe given a death sentence, you will disappear from the face of the earth. We were outlaws because we said something wrong or something true about the regime. So the government declares us outlaws. Who are outlaws? Who are rebellious to the government. They are called outlaws. So just a few days back, till the white supremacy was continuous, till the whites were ruling, we black people, we were outlaws. So we who were outlaws not just long ago, just a few short time back, we were outlaws, have today been given the rare privilege to be host to the nations of the world on our soil. We were outlaws. Today we are free people. Nobody calls us, yes, culprits. Nobody calls us criminals. Nobody gives a label of outlaws to us. Yes, you can see the change that has happened. Today, those same people who were outlaws not too long time ago, now we are hosting an international event on our soil. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. Quite a long sentence. Okay, we are going to break it down. We thank all our distinguished guests. Very important thing. When you have given invitation to all the countries of the world, to many other important people of the world, and they have respected your invitation and come over there, you got to publicly thank them, right? So that is what Nelson Mandela is doing. We thank all of them are distinguished, highly respectable people. Those who have consented to coming to South Africa and be present over there during the inauguration ceremony. So we are thankful that they have taken time after from their busy schedule and come to South Africa to attend the inauguration ceremony, to be present during the oath taking ceremony, to be present for the first time when South Africa is going to establish democracy on its soil. So we thank all our distinguished international guests, all those people who have come from outside the country, for having come to take possession with the people of our country of what is all a common victory for justice. Now, the victory that the freedom that the black people got, the victory that the black people got, was it on the white people? No, it was on that apartheid system. It was on the suffering that the black people had to go through, the colored people had to go through. Even the white people, they did not enjoy torturing the black people. They also wanted to be free, but that system was present over there. So today, whether black or white, whether colored, whatever, yes, you foreign dignitaries have come to our land to take possession. We are also taking possession of what? Democratic values, values of equality. You are also going to be present, and we all will respect the human values of what is all a common victory for justice. Wherever in the world injustice happens, victory over injustice also happens. Wherever in the world there is too much torture, too much suffering, one fine day will come when all the torture and suffering will end and a new rule will be established which will look for the betterment of the people. So the rest of the world, the rest of the countries of the world, they already got attained, or they already attained freedom, or some of the countries they were already free. Yes, there was no foreign possession. They already attained freedom. They were always free. Those people enjoyed. Today you have come to this country to witness us taking possession of freedom and driving out that apartheid system away from our country for peace, for human dignity. Everywhere human values, humanity prevails. Yes, each and every human being, he has a value. Yes, and he is having that same importance as any other citizen in the country. So for human dignity, dignity means honor. Yes, no human being should make another human being suffer, right? Same way, no human being should be undervalued or should lose his dignity or honor. Today we have again got back our honor, and you are here to witness it. We have at last achieved our political emancipation. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. So, we have at last achieved our political emancipation. Emancipation is freeing someone from other person or freeing someone from some political setup or system, right? So what was the earlier political system? It was the system of apartheid. Now it is democracy. So at last we have achieved our political emancipation. We have got ourselves free from the bondage of apartheid, from racial discrimination, right? So what is our next step? We pledge, we take an oath, we promise ourselves to liberate all our people. Now the country is liberated from apartheid, from a political system which was based on racism, or it was based on color of the skin, right? So we have removed that and established another system which take care of everyone and treats everyone equally. But because for 300 years that system continued, it had lots and lots of drawbacks. So much things are yet to be done. We have not even started it, are yet to be done for the betterment of the people. So it is not only driving that apartheid system out of the country or crushing that apartheid system forever, never to be reborn or again to come out in the open, right, again start ruling. We have achieved that, but we pledge ourselves. There are lots of difficulty even now. People are poor, people are deprived of many things, they do not have many things. Yes, they just have freedom from some another rule. Now somebody else is ruling. What difference is it going to make them? They are poor, they don't have anything. So lot is to be done. So we have to liberate people from, first thing, from continuing bondage of poverty. Yes, continuing bondage. People are poor, they were earlier, they are today also. So that bondage of poverty, yes, keeps them deprived of many things. They don't get proper health care, they don't get proper education, they don't have proper living areas, they don't have a very good standard of living. All that happens because poverty is there. Yes, so poverty has to be removed. Bondage of poverty. Deprivation, they are deprived, they are not getting lots of things. For example, health, education, they are not getting those things. Suffering, they are still suffering because they are poor. Yes, they do not have 2 square meals per day. So we have to do lots of things. We have to free people from these things. Only freeing people from a certain political system, that's not going to work. There is lots of gender discrimination also, yes, between male and female, and lots of other discrimination are present over there. So we have to free people from that discrimination and differences also. Never, never again shall it be that this beautiful land will experience the oppression of one by another. This was in the opening statement, right? The opening speech given by Nelson Mandela. We have already understood that, right? Now this is part of his speech which is present over here. So he takes a promise, he takes an oath that never this beautiful land will again see oppression of one person by another, because everybody is equal over there. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. We have achieved a great human achievement by 300 years of continuous suffering. After that, we have achieved freedom. We have come out of this political system. A new political system, that is democracy, is being established over here. So the sun will always shine. That means we will always be victorious. There will be never darkness, there will be never negative timings for our country. Yes, we will always be developing, we will always be prospering. Yes, so the sun will never set, or it will keep on shining forever because of the human achievement that we have got, a glorious human achievement. He ends his speech, let freedom reign. Reign, R-E-I-G-N, means rule. So now let freedom rule. God bless Africa. With this, he ends his inauguration ceremony speech after he has taken the oath, after he has taken the pledge. This is a short speech given over here. After this, we will be learning the different paragraphs that are taken from the autobiography of Nelson Mandela. Now, as soon as the uh, inauguration ceremony, it is still continuous, the celebrations are still there remaining. This was just the pledge that the dignitaries of the new government were taking. For example, the first, second deputy president, first deputy president, and the president, and maybe the other ministers also, they might have taken pledge. After that oath taking ceremony is over, now it is time for the spectators to see something. So, what do they see? A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers roared in perfect formation over the Union buildings. As soon as the president completes his first speech to the nation, after that is over, yes, the sky is filled by the salute given by the defense of the country, the defense department of the country here, so that everybody can see it. Yes, usually the Air Force gives the salutation, or it offers its services to the president, and in another way, or in other words, it pledges the defense of the country, the defense department of the country pledges its continuous service and support to the president of the country. How do they do it? Yes, we looked up in the sky and we were filled with surprise, or we are just mouth kept open because of that perfect spectacle that they see in the sky. What was that? Array of South African jets, array in a formation. Yes, array in a line, in some design. All the jets, they are flying, and usually when this is the first flight after the oath taking ceremony, the smoke given out by these quite beautiful formation is usually the colors of the country. That means smoke comes out in the exhaust, comes out in the colorful colors, that is the flag colors. For example, ours is tricolor. So on the Republic Day parade, or when the president is sworn in, yes, a salute is given. So in that, the jets are flying in the sky and giving off the smoke of tricolor. So beautiful tricolor smoke you can see in the sky. So this is the array of South African jets, and they will be giving out that smoke exhaust of the colors or the flag colors of that country. Helicopters can be seen, and just below the helicopters you can see the new South African flag fluttering in the sky. Helicopters and troop carriers, huge transport aircraft which can carry a large number of troops and tanks and etc. So that all the dignitaries coming from outside, they will be quite surprised by the military power that the new South African government has, and it can show the world that yes, we are very sure that we can very perfectly defend our country. We are very much ready for it. And carriers rode in perfect formation over the Union buildings, because it's the amphitheater, and surrounding the amphitheaters there are Union buildings. So the jets, the helicopters, they are flying in perfect formation, yes, displaying the colors of the country, the national flag, yes, and they are flying above the Union buildings. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision. Yes, jets flying above each other, below each other, helicopters are also there, and you have to be very precise. Otherwise, two helicopters, they are going to bang, and it really damages the image of the country if such an incident or accident happens. So they are very much precise in their flying their aircrafts, and they show that our pilots are ready with so much precision. And it does not only show the military strength or the military force, but a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy. Yes, this is an understatement. Yes, the military jets, the defense Air Force jets, they are flying in the sky, right? And they do not show the military strength. They are giving a signal to the president of the country that we are at your service and we are loyal to you. We will always be loyal to the newfound democracy. And that is why they are obeying and following, and they are fluttering those beautiful South African flags to a new government that has been freely and fairly elected. Yes, the defense department of the country is showing off its loyalty to the, not to the president, but to the newfound victory, the newfound freedom that has been able to establish a government after a free and fair elections. The President of India, the other dignitaries of the government, they have been appointed after a free and fair elections. So the Defense Department also has complete faith in the newly established democracy, and that is why they are giving off the salute to the President of the country and in front of all the dignitaries who have come from abroad. Only moments before, the highest generals of the South African Defence Force and Police. Now mind you, in this inauguration ceremony, all the high-ranking generals, whether it is Air Force, whether it is Army, whether it is Navy, whether it is Police Department, all the high-ranking generals, all the high-ranking officials of the policing department, everybody is present over there in the inauguration ceremony. What would have happened just 6 months back, or what would have happened just 1 year back? They would have arrested Nelson Mandela and thrown him into the prison because they were loyal to the previous white supremacy. They are still continuous. That means as soon as Nelson Mandela becomes the president, he doesn't throw away, or he doesn't dismiss all those generals and appoint someone else. He has kept the positions as it was, right? The generals who were in the previous white supremacy, they continue now also. Now that is what he says. Only moments before, the highest generals of the South African Defence Force and Police, their chest bedecked with ribbons and medals from the days gone by. Slowly coming to it, right? The generals, their chest, they have worn uniform, right? And ceremonial dress, and on top of that ceremonial dress, all the on both sides of the chest, it's bedecked, filled with all the ribbons and medals that they have gained in their service records, right? They are wearing their full colors, they are wearing their full ribbons and medals. They are very proudly showing off their medals and ribbons from the days gone by. They served the previous regime. They are continuous now also. What is the difference? Saluted me. Now they are saluting me. What would have happened if they met me 3 months ago, 6 months ago? They would have arrested me and thrown me into the prison and pledged their loyalty. Today they are saluting me and they are pledging their loyalty to me. To me? No, to the newfound victory, to the newfound regime, to the newfound democracy that is established in the country. And I have complete faith in them. This is the interest that Nelson Mandela, this is the trust that Nelson Mandela has on its people. Whether he is a white person or whether he is a black person or belonging to any race, any caste, creed, whatever, religion. But he was serving in the previous regime during the white supremacy. But as soon as it is my turn, we are all equal. He will serve democracy. He will serve no regime, but he will serve democracy. He will serve the president that comes after me also, because he is serving the country. So I was not unmindful of the fact. I am aware. Unmindful, I am aware. Mindful, I am not unmindful. So not an unmindful, that means two negation together. That means I am mindful. Right? Mindful means aware. I am aware of the fact. Which fact? That not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. If the same generals would have met me, yes, and learnt that I was a rebel or I did not like the white regime, I was fighting against the white regime or the white supremacy, they would have arrested me. The same generals which are saluting me today, Few years back, they would have arrested me and sent me to prison. But today, they are saluting me and they are pledging their loyalty. Finally, a chevron of Impala jets left a smoke trail of the black, red, green, blue, and gold of the new South African flag. Let us understand what this means, especially chevron. Now, we just understood that the jets, they are flying in some type of formation, yes, and they leave behind a smoke trail displaying the colors of the country, that is colors of the national flag. So what's a chevron? A chevron is they fly in this way in a perfect formation. Yes, this is the first jet, this will be the second, third, like this. Yes, and when they fly, they will leave behind smoke trails representing the colors. For us, it is tricolor, so only 3 colors will be displayed. So you can understand 6 jets, 7 jets will be flying. Yes, and they will leave 2 trails of our tricolor. Same way, here there are multiple colors. Which are they? So chevron is that V-shaped formation in which they are flying, and they leave behind the trails, smoke trails of which colors? They are leaving behind smoke trails of which color? Because South African flag, it has multiple colors. So the jets are leaving behind smoke trails of multiple color. Which are they? Black, red, green, blue, gold. These are the 5 colors of South African national flag. And the V-type formation of what? Jets, Impala jets, right? Name of the jets, yes, making type of the company producer, Impala jets, yes. A smoke trail of 5 colors, black, red, green, blue, and gold, of the new South African flag. Earlier, the white rule, they had a different national flag for the South African country. When that rule is over, when a new democracy is established, yes, a new national flag has been designed, and that new South African flag is having 5 colors, black, red, green, blue, and gold. A beautiful design. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our 2 national anthems. The day was symbolized, marked. Yes, it leaves a permanent effect. It gives a symbol. Now, the white rule has ended and the democracy has started. But earlier, 2 races were living over there. One was the white people's race, and another was the black people and the colored people's race. Right? Both of them had their own national anthem. So right now, both the national anthems were being played. So that leaves a symbol on me that never in history has such a thing happened, that when the white's national anthem was being sung, the black's national anthem, if anybody sung a few years back, he would have been arrested, beaten, tortured, and sent in jail. If you belong to this country, you got to sing the national anthem of the white rule, right? So right now 2 national anthems are being played, one of the white people, one of the black people, playing 2 national anthems. And the vision of the white people, now white rule, it was a white rule, so white people automatically they know that anthem. Yes, the white singing the Curse Secular I Africa, and the black singing, now the blacks, they have another national anthem of their own, which they have been singing since 300 years, but in secrecy. Now they are singing that in open. What is that? Diastema. So 2 national anthems are being sung over here right in front of me, and that is an unbelievable thing to happen in the history of South Africa. Never 2 national anthems were sung over there openly by, the whites were singing their own, the blacks were singing their own. It doesn't matter. But what matters is they respect each other's national anthem. The old anthem, that is Diana's time, the old anthem of the republic, that is the country. Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem they once despised. Now, both of them cannot be played at a time. So, first the white one will be played, and then the black. Now, both of them, they know each other's anthem, but the tune of it, but they don't know the lyrics. Yes, it's being played. So, they can very rhythmically, very tuningly, they can hum with it, but neither of them know each other's anthem properly. Especially the white people, they do not know the age-old anthem of the republic. So neither group knew the lyrics. That means lyrics means the wordings of the anthem they once despised. The whites hated the anthem of the black. The blacks hated the anthem of the white. Right now, the whole of the crowd, white or black, they are singing or playing to the tunes of both the national anthems together without hating each other's anthem. They would soon know the words by heart, whether it is white, whether it is black. Now, because it can be sung in the open, yes, nobody is stopping a white person to either sing his own anthem or to sing the black people's anthem, and the black people, without being afraid, they can sing their own anthem or they can sing the white people's anthem. It's the same thing. So nobody is going to stop each other from singing those anthems, and they will be now knowing the words of each other's anthem properly. The white did not know that of the black did not want to learn the white. Now both of them can learn not only the lyrics, but not only the tune, but the lyrics and the words, and understand the importance of those words. Because whichever nation it is, the national anthem is always very, very good, and whole of the country is always proud of its national anthem. The value and the worth that it has, the impact that the national anthem has on its people. Yes, nobody can know better than us Indians. Yes, we have been singing when we did not have freedom, so we know the value of it, right? So whatever, white or black, now they are going to know, now they are going to sing, and they are going to know the words also, lyrics also. So with this we end today's lecture. Thank you, students.